Okay, so we're going to talk about the rule of thirds, and yes, you caught me. I began this event by telling you that there are no rules in photography. Well, I didn't lie exactly, there really aren't any. This one is more like a guideline, but some muppet came up with the name the rule of thirds. But basically, imagine that your image is divided into 9 equal segments by 2 vertical lines and 2 horizontal lines. And that's really easy because most smartphone cameras and most cameras actually already come with this feature built in and superimposed over the LCD screen. Imagine it's a bit like a big noughts and crosses board. Now, the rule of thirds says that you should position the most important elements in your scene along these lines or at the points where they intersect. The theory is that if you place points of interest in the intersections or along the lines, that your photo becomes more balanced and it will let the viewer of the image interact with it naturally. And studies have shown that when people are viewing images, that their eyes usually do go to those intersection points much more naturally than they would go into the centre. So if you're using the rule of thirds, then you're working with nature and how people look at images other than against it. And it's said also that this adds balance and interest to your photo, which can only be a good thing. So you know how sometimes you snap a picture of, oh, okay, for me it's usually a nice flower in the garden. Well, that flower, the thing you want people to see and you make sure it's nice and central, it's the focus, not something off to the side. Does this sound familiar to your photographs? Well, you do get a nice looking image of that nice flower, but rule of thirds can help you make that a really interesting photograph of just the same flower. So you see in this picture that the flower is bang in the middle, but it somehow gets lost amongst all the other stuff going on. It's almost like you lose the focus of the image. Now, that same photograph taken a few seconds later and using the rule of thirds, you can see the main focus now is that flower and it's on the bottom intersection point at the bottom right. But it really feels natural, doesn't it? Your eye just goes there, but you still know that that's the focal point. So, thinking about rule of thirds, how would you use it in your photography? Are there any shots that you've taken that this might just have used up a little? I used it in this one with this photo of the bee as it was flying away from the lavender and it worked brilliant.